Welcome to The Explainer. So, today we're jumping back thousands of years to look at what is honestly one of the most radical shifts in all of human history. Okay, let's dive into this. We are talking about the true story of ancient Egypt's revolutionary sun god Aten. And of course, the pharaoh who literally risked absolutely everything to completely upend how an entire civilization worshipped. It's this wild story of vision, major disruption, and just the sheer undeniable power of nature. Now, to really set the stage here, picture the golden deserts of ancient Egypt. Just imagine those endless, rolling dunes radiating heat. You've got that blinding, brilliant sunlight reflecting off the sand, right? And that intense, life-giving warmth touching literally everything in its path. In a world that was so completely defined by the sun and its natural cycles, it really shouldn't be a surprise that sunlight itself eventually sparked a massive cultural upheaval. So, before all this went down, the Egyptians worshipped a massive, incredibly complex pantheon. We're talking hundreds of different gods controlling every little aspect of life, everything from the flooding of the Nile to the journey into the afterlife. But then enter this radical, completely unifying new vision, Aten. So the crucial point is this massive clash of ideas. You've got the old way, worshipping tons of gods with all their tangled, overlapping mythologies, going head-to-head with the new way. And that new way was a singular, all-encompassing devotion to Aten as the one true creator. Section 1. The Disruptor and the Deity. Now, the disruptor in this historical drama is Akhenaten. And man, he was not your standard maintain the status quo kind of pharaoh. He was a true visionary. He looked up at that bright, scorching sun and felt this incredibly deep personal connection. He saw something way bigger, way more universal than whatever the traditional high priests were preaching at the time. Which brings us to the deity himself, Aten. Aten wasn't just another god in the lineup. He was the literal shining disk of the sun, the ultimate giver of life. And this is absolutely crucial to grasp. Aten wasn't some human or animal hybrid deity with a super complicated backstory hiding out in some dark, smoky temple. No. Aten was the physical glowing disk right there in the daytime sky. It was a god you could actually see and feel and experience every single day. And Akhenaten, he believed this god cared equally for literally everyone its light touched. I mean, think about the sheer, undeniable power of that shining disk. Every morning as Aten appeared, his warm rays just blanketed the land. Under Akhenaten's rule, the belief was that this light literally breathed life into everything. Everything. And this blessing wasn't exclusive to humans either. It extended to the animals, the plants, and, super importantly, the mighty Nile River itself. The absolute lifeblood of the entire empire. The core idea was beautifully simple. Without Aten, there is no life, period. And this brilliantly illustrates how they actually communicated that far-reaching power visually. If you look at art from this specific period, Aten is almost never just a geometric circle in the sky. He's shown with these distinct sun rays stretching downwards, and right at the end of each ray is a tiny human hand. It's wild, right? These hands are depicted gently touching and blessing the people, a lot of times holding an ankh, which is the symbol of life, right up to their noses. It's honestly just an incredibly beautiful, intimate way of showing that the sun's reach is infinite, but also deeply, deeply personal. Let's move to Section 2, Building the Utopia. Okay, so to truly honor a god of this magnitude, the old capital just wasn't going to cut it. So Akhenaten makes this staggering decision. He uproots his entire court, his family, and literally tens of thousands of citizens to build a brand new city completely from scratch, right smack in the middle of the desert. This breathtaking settlement was called Akhetaten, which beautifully translates to the horizon of Aten. It was this magnificent, sprawling city dedicated 100% to the sun god. I want you to imagine a place where every single street, every building, every monument was designed with one specific purpose: to capture, reflect, and celebrate the pure light of the sun. Now, what's really interesting here is how this theology totally flipped their architecture. Like traditional Egyptian temples, they were these dark, enclosed, heavily roofed sanctuaries, really mysterious places where only the highest-ranking priests were allowed into the innermost chambers, communing with the gods in the shadows. But Aten's temples? Literally the exact opposite. They had these vast, open roofs where the blazing sunlight poured directly down onto the worshippers. Nothing was hidden away. Aten's right was meant to be seen and felt by everyone, equally. So, out under those open, endless skies, Akhenaten and his family would stand every single day, offering prayers and flowers. They sang these daily hymns that would just echo through the white walls of the new city. The hymn goes, "You rise beautifully in the eastern horizon, O living Aten, creator of life." Take a second to just absorb the reverence there. It perfectly captures that pure, unfiltered awe and spiritual devotion they felt for the dawn of each new day. And for a brief, shining period, this utopia actually flourished. Akhenaten prospered, and its people celebrated the beauty of the natural world in a way Egypt hadn't really seen before. Aten's golden rays weren't just physical light. They became these incredibly powerful cultural symbols of peace, life, and hope. We're talking about a true golden age of artistic explosion where nature was depicted super realistically, completely centered around the comforting warmth of the sun. Section 3. Fall and Enduring Legacy. But as we so often see in history, a fire that burns that brightly, well, it usually burns out pretty fast. The thing is, the general population of Egypt had worshipped their traditional gods, Amun, Osiris, Isis, for millennia. For your everyday Egyptian, being told to just abandon those ancient, trusted gods for one singular sun god was actually terrifying. It was deeply unsettling. The societal pushback brewing just beneath the surface was massive. So look at the timeline. We go from this super stable, long-standing tradition of many gods to the sharp, sudden pivot of Akhenaten, building his brand new city. Then, boom, we hit the peak, the golden age of Aten. But the fatal turning point hits the second Akhenaten dies. Literally, almost immediately, the old ways come rushing back with an absolute vengeance. Aten worship fades out, the old temples get quickly restored, and ultimately, that great utopian city of the sun is just completely abandoned to the blowing desert sands. Now, Akhenaten's successors, they tried their absolute hardest to erase him from history. I mean, they were literally knocking down his statues and aggressively chiseling the name of his god right off the stone walls. But they failed. The story of Aten never actually disappeared. Historians, archaeologists, people like you and me, we remain totally fascinated by this era because it is just such a bold, daring anomaly. Aten represents the literal, undeniable, life-giving power of the sun. And that is a concept so foundational, so universally human, that it completely transcends time. It really kind of makes you look at the sky a little differently, doesn't it? The ancient Egyptians recognized something so primal that without that shining disk up there, nothing we know could even exist. So I'm going to leave you with a question to chew on. Next time you look to the east and see a golden sunrise painting the morning sky, will you think of Akhenaten? Will you feel the ancient blessing of Aten, the radiant god of life and light? Thanks so much for joining me to explore this incredible piece of history. Keep learning, keep looking up, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.